Welcome back to another FPL reaction stream, looking ahead to Blank Gameweek 18, should I say, and also talking about all the Gameweek 17 action over the weekend. We just had the big game between Liverpool and Manchester United. A lot of good games on the Sunday, maybe not so much on the Saturday, but that's it. Another week chalked off. We are almost at the halfway stage, and this was much better for me personally. I got 75 points, and with the -4 hit, I took 71. And my overall points is just shy of 1,000, and my rank has also been almost halved from around 900,000 to 580,000 in the world. So a decent week. I was expecting a bit better with a lot of home fixtures for my players, and there were some huge returns there for the likes of Cole Palmer, and things were looking really good yesterday on the Saturday. The only downside really is Darwin being booked, Salah blanking as my captain, and Saliba having 7 points on my bench once the bonus points kick in, but still some positives. Tsimikas with 7 points, he got a bonus after the game just now, and also my signings Pedro Porro and Watkins got 17 points combined with bonus points factored in, so overall a pretty good week. Even Dubravka finally returned for me. Bowen got something in the end in the second half. Saka did blank and the assist was taken away. It was originally given on the FPL website and the app, but it is what it is. I'm not too bothered about that, and I can understand why it wasn't given. And one big talking point this week, of course, will be about the Bournemouth versus Luton Town game, so hopefully Lockyer does recover very soon. I think he is in a stable condition, and some people want to know about the point situation, and we don't know for sure yet, but it does look like the points could stay on, but there will be no bonus points. And there's also the situation where if the game is replayed from the very beginning, then in that sort of scenario, the points could be reset and chalked off. But let's see what FPL do. As far as I'm aware, they haven't officially announced anything yet. Maybe it happens during the stream. If so, be sure to let me know in the live chat. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll probably find out by the time we do the next deadline stream next week. And I think it's another Friday deadline, but be sure to tune in for more FPL and UCL fantasy content on this channel. And let's get straight into this stream. We've got almost 100 people watching already. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Our big game before the end of the year is to get 22,000 subscribers, and I believe we're 67 away. So let's keep on pushing towards that milestone. Dawn asks, what do? I have one free transfer and 8.1 million in the bank, but to bring in Haaland and Watkins for Nunez and Solanke, I need 0.1 million to afford them. So who do you downgrade? Team is in the next message. My team is Areola, Dubravka, Taylor, Borro, Tsimikas, Cash, Saliba, Son, Saka, Gordon, Salah, Palmer, Nunez, Haaland, Archer. Well, to be honest, with the way he's doing right now, I would not even mind selling Darwin Nunez, and you can avoid that headache altogether. Yeah, I think apart from him, probably Cash is the one that stands out to me. In a few weeks' time, you've got Son and Salah going off to the African Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup. So yeah, apart from that, I'm happy with the rest of your team, with the exception of Matty Cash. So whether you do Cash to Mikalenko, it's up to you, and it all depends on when Mikalenko returns. But I think that's the best way to afford the moves you want to make, which involves selling Darwin, and I'm completely on board with that, I have to say. 72 points, Salah captain. Yeah, that's good stuff. Similar to me. I think a lot of us did get 65 plus points, I believe. Happy Human says 75 points for me. Demir puts his team, Areola, Turner, Gabriel, Tsimikas, Gay, Taylor, Palmer, Gordon, Salah, Saka, Bowen, Watkins, Darwin, Mabama. One free transfer, 8.2 million in the bank. Any suggestions? Should I buy a goalkeeper or Son, or get rid of Darwin? Well, Son would be the one with the high ceiling, but he's also a high maintenance transfer because you'd want to bring him out around game week 21. So he's a very short-term punt, to say the least. With Turner and Areola, it's a very difficult situation. Turner is playing games, but he was very suspect for the goals that Spurs scored, especially the second one that Kulusevski dispatched. So then you've got Areola being on the bench, Fabianski keeping a clean sheet in that victory against Wolves. So I think the goalkeeper situation could be a problem for you long term, and as a result, I would be looking to bolster that. Now, Dubravka isn't an amazing option, to be quite honest with you, and Newcastle could still buy a goalkeeper in January, but in the meantime, I think it could be a fairly decent budget goalkeeper for you, and you can also go for Raya long term. Now, I maintain what I said. I didn't like Raya for the Aston Villa, Brighton and Liverpool games, and I wouldn't buy Raya at this moment in time, but he is a good long-term option after that Anfield trip on the 23rd of December. So if you are going for a goalkeeper, my favourites would be Raya, Dubravka, Leno and Alisson Becker. They're my 4 favourite goalkeepers, as I discussed in my recent wildcard video. Happy Human says, Alvarez and Saka the only players who blanked in my team. Yeah, I had a few blanks personally, but yeah, Saka was one of them for me as well. Alvarez had that goal disallowed, basically, so a bit of a shame. And also with Saka, he got an assist, also chalked off. Kenback says 17 minus 4 points, another Darwin blank. Green Arrow though, yeah, Darwin has been immensely frustrating. Even when he produced a return against Sheffield United, he was on the bench in the first place and he got a yellow card. So 3 points is the most he could get in the last 4 game weeks. He has been absolutely disastrous, and I look back on it and I really shouldn't have brought him in because it was a 7-point difference between him and Watkins back in game week 15, I believe, when I made the transfer. And not only that, it's also just Darwin's so frustrating because I also took a hit to get Watkins back in. So in the end, he has essentially cost me around 11 points, that transfer, but I can only blame myself. Dylan, how did you put yourself on the thumbnail? I look nothing like him, trust me, mate. 78 points, blanked for Salah captain. Still a good return, and that's a mark of a strong team when you do relatively well despite your captain failing. What happens to Solanke points? We've covered at the beginning of the stream. Nothing is set in stone just yet. Meg Entertainment says, 1 free transfer for Game Week 18 and having Sanchez, Maguire and Ferguson in my team. Who to sell? Well, with Ferguson, he was a bit off it today. I'm not sure if he carried an issue or something like that, but he was subbed off quite early on, and Joao Pedro was very lively when he was subbed on. But with Maguire, I'd wait and see what the latest injury updates are. The same with Sanchez, but my guess is that Sanchez will be out for a couple of weeks, and as a result, he's going to miss a lot of game weeks, and he is a sell in that respect. But I think right now it's a wait and see. My priority, though, if you don't have another goalkeeper, is to bolster that move and get rid of Sanchez, I think. Urwa says, best game week, 75 points minus 471 in the top 400k. Nice stuff. And the whole team, barring Son, returned 16 points out of the safety score. Yeah, that's always a good thing when you're that far ahead. I sold Hwang to Palmer for the next game week, increasing the bank too. Hope it will all be good. Yeah, either way, it's a transfer waiting to happen because Hwang is off to the Asian Cup in Game Week 21. And I've always said this, I like Hwang a lot. And once Pedro Neto comes back, I think Hwang is definitely someone to keep on the radar. But Palmer and Gordon, for me, are the best budget midfielders, period. Then it'd be Hwang. And then you're looking at the odd alternative that pops along every now and then, like Tavernier. But I think those three are quite clearly the standout budget midfielders. Captaincy failed, but got 74 to 77 points overall. Don't know if Solanke's bonus will be added. I don't think they will, personally, but that's just my opinion. It might end up being no points are given at all when it's all reset. At the moment, though, it's the 6 points for Solanke, no bonus points, and let's see what the final decision is. For the Premier League. Are they going to continue from where the game left off, or are they just going to start the entire game again? And based on that, I think they'll have a huge impact on the FPL points. 51 points, says Neymar. Still pretty decent, I think. It depends on the rank you're at, but overall, even if you didn't do particularly well this week, there's always the next one in a couple of days' time. 66 points, says Lippert. Good stuff. 32k overall. Ken back says Solanke didn't get bonus points. I don't think bonus points are awarded for abandoning games. I agree. I don't think the bonus points will be given. I did actually use a new intro the other day as well, in terms of music. So there's like 7-8 different songs that I've got from the same artist. So yeah, I might just change up every now and then, and maybe you lot can give me feedback on what your favorite is. But of course, the one we've been using for most streams this season will be the main one. Weising says, no Salah, no Solanke, not starting Arsenal defense, no transfer made. I survived Game Week 17 with a 1 million green arrow. That's what I mean. You know, there's no such thing as an essential player. In most cases, you can get the odd exception like a Haaland or Salah breaking that mold, but generally speaking, you can still do well without having certain players or covering certain teams, so it just goes to show. Arthur says, hi Dylan, Dubravka to Martinez and did not do cash to Trent, should have listened to you. Yeah, look, to be fair, it's just one game week. We'll see how it pans out. I'm still not a big fan of Dubravka long term in terms of being a reliable starting goalkeeper week in, week out. I do recommend him in the best wildcard team video, but that is also paired with a really solid goalkeeper option like a David Raya. So yeah, I'd still give it time. With Martinez, I think Game Week 18 it could pay off. I don't expect Newcastle to keep a clean sheet there in the blank game week, but with Aston Villa, they would have one of the best chances of any team. Long term, though, I'm going to stick by what I said last week, though, and I think cash to Trent is the best move, and I'd probably rather have Dubravka over Martinez based on value. Shema didn't captain Palmer, as I mentioned whole stream. Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't that keen on it. I thought he could do well, but not 14 points, and for him to do that, you know, well compared to Salah, for example. So, football's full of surprises. Thursday deadline, yeah, people are probably right, actually. So that's what I mean, such a quick turnaround. Over the next couple of days, I'll be working already on new content for Blank Gameweek 18. So it's a good thing we're doing the stream right now. Be sure to drop a like and also subscribe. It really helps us out. Hey, Dylan, do Tsimikas to Pau or roll? Look, Tsimikas is a frustrating asset and he will be benched from time to time. And once Robertson comes back in a month or two, the Tsimikas stream is over. But I think for the meantime, I'd rather sell another defender instead, even if it's a Taylor. With Lascelles, he would also be on the chopping block soon, but Cher got that injury during the game, so Lascelles could live to fight another day. Pau Torres is actually someone I'm looking to buy this week for Matty Cash. I'll talk about this in the team selection video, but I can also go for some different options in other positions. I don't mind that transfer overall, it has to be said. I'd rather have Pau than Tsimikas, but I'm just thinking, could you not maybe sell another defender instead? It could be a Crystal Palace one like Gay or Anderson, maybe Matty Cash instead. So I would reconsider that. 64 minus 4, 60 points, and a green arrow from 980k to 810k. That's good stuff, Diogo, and hopefully you can build upon that and do well for the rest of the year and the season. Thorsten Semenyo will allow me to do Lascelles to Trippier. Semenyo's just a budget option. He's been covered in the last few wildcard videos, but purely to sit on your bench and be a facilitator. He's not someone you want to start. I mean, if you look at the abandoned game that happened, I think Semenyo was subbed off at half-time or around 47 minutes. So yeah, with Semenyo, he's not someone you want to start, really. So if that's what your end game is, I'm going to say no. 55 points, small green arrow. At least I have Martinez and Cash next game week. The thing with Cash, though, despite him starting today, he was not good. He was probably Aston Villa's worst player in the first half, and I'm not so sure if he's going to start in the Blank Gameweek 18 match now. So yeah, I think Martinez absolutely fine. Probably he'll get a clean sheet, but with Matty Cash, I wouldn't be so secure. I'm looking to sell him myself. Also on Diego Carlos, yeah, he's fine. I'd rather go for Pau Torres if I had to go for one, but he's absolutely fine, I think. Crystal Palace versus Brighton is on Thursday. Yeah, thank you for the correction. I actually did forget about that. I've repeated for 2 seasons about Darwin Nunez, which I've never had in my fantasy team. Yeah, I had him once last year, and he did really well for me. So I did Wilson to Darwin Nunez, and I gained 12 points from that transfer. It was literally kind of like a 1 game week punt before the World Cup. I went for it, and Darwin gave me 2 goals against Southampton, I think it was. But overall, you can't rely on him for a prolonged period of time. That's very clear to see. Now, it would not surprise me if people sold him in droves against Arsenal and Darwin did well. It would not surprise me. And I think the way Darwin plays, on his day, he can cause any team's problems. He even scored against the world champions, Argentina, recently, but I just don't really trust him. Should I transfer him Burn for share on a free transfer? Yeah, I think just keep an eye out for future updates, but I think that's a pretty sound transfer. And with Fabian Schär, he's always a kind of constant injury risk. Dan Burn isn't, despite him obviously just coming back from injury. We have covered this about Solanke, so nothing is set in stone yet. It all depends on the Premier League. What are they going to do with the match? So if the game is reset and they start from the beginning, I'm not sure when this would be, by the way, then the points will most likely be reset here. But if the game is continued, then I believe the points that you see here now on the website or the app will stay as it is, and there will be no bonus points. So, of course, it's a big talking point. Everyone wants to know about that, but honestly, we don't know for sure, and we're going to have to wait for official confirmation. I don't think the communication from FPL has been particularly great, but that's also because the Premier League haven't decided yet in terms of what's going to happen in that game. Isaac Mag says, what transfers should I make, if any? I don't like the double up in the West Ham defence, and to be fair, you can keep Soufal for now and focus on upgrading Areola or your other goalkeeper. I'm not sure who that would be. Pinnock has been really disappointing, I think, and Brentford, the thing with them is they don't really get battered by any team, but they just concede that 1 or 2 goals towards the end of a game against Arsenal and Aston Villa, and things just go south there. So despite the fixtures, I'm not a big fan of Pinnock. I think Trippier will be a good option once he returns from his injury. Of course, the suspension is served, but now let's wait and see if the injury is serious that he picked up against AC Milan. Apart from that, I think your team is pretty sound. I think Hwang, of course, would be a transfer out in Game Week 21. Salah, probably the same thing. You've obviously got no Haaland now in Game Week 18. Sterling, I'm not a big fan of personally, but with the fixtures in mind, that double up could work. So I think overall, when I'm looking at your team, the goalkeeper needs to be upgraded because Kelleher won't play another game until Alisson gets injured or suspended. So yeah, I would upgrade Kelleher and I would go to Dubravka. I think that would be a very simple transfer for you. You could also go for David Raya, Alisson Becker, or even Petrovic at this moment in time for Chelsea, dare I say. But apart from the goalkeeper transfer, I would be looking at the midfield, I think. I think that's probably the main area for your team. You could even go for a 1 or 2 game week punt, Haaland to Solanke, and then bring Haaland back. But I think the most important thing is the midfield. Be very careful over the next couple of weeks. Get rid of Isak now. Of course, always wait for more updates, but I talked about selling him last week, or just a few days ago, really, heading into Game Week 17. I thought he would start, so I'm not going to come here and say I expected him to be left out of the squad. I think that's very unlucky for those that kept him, but with Isak, it's just going to be a constant rotation risk now with Callum Wilson back in the side. And when to get rid of Tsimikas? Well, I'd probably say the best time is when Robertson's back around January or February, but he is still probably a keep for now. Not one of the best defenders as he was maybe a couple of weeks ago, but 7 points today. You got to take it. Still another good return. Credit to people who picked Palmer when he was around 5 million in price. Kudos, yes. I think just from early days, just having that penalty taker for Chelsea, kind of one of the shining lights, everything goes through him. You know, I think that's a very good transfer, very astute. And now he's getting those open play goals. He also was very unlucky not to get yet another assist. So very good stuff there from Cole Palmer. Yeah, Madristo, how you doing, Dylan? That's feeling owning Darwin first time in my life. This is not my first time, as I mentioned earlier. He did well for me last season in 1 week, but I just don't trust him over a prolonged period of time. I cannot wait to sell him, I can't lie. Welcome, Beardy, good to see you. And Goldhead, all good, what about you? Godsent says, something told me to vice-captain Watkins, thank God I did. Yeah, I do think, and look, a lot of games are like this, you know, that one decision or moment changes the game, and Ben Mee being sent off was that catalyst, and Aston Villa, you know, as soon as that happened, you knew Aston Villa were going to win the game, and Ollie Watkins was likely to be involved. So fair play, definitely a much better captaincy option than Salah. When I'm looking at my team, though, I mean, I put the armband on Saka, and to be honest, really I should have been looking at Palmer a bit more. So I think fair play to those who went for Watkins and Palmer. They were two of the best captaincy options in the end this week. I typically go for the kind of standard template captains, and that's something I should change and evaluate. Welcome to Badar. I have double Arsenal defence. Good stuff. I think long-term Arsenal are very good to target defensively, but I would not go for even one Arsenal defender against Liverpool. I would expect the Reds to score. Hey Dylan, what was your feeling on your team score before the Liverpool match? Relatively happy. Not much change there, really. So Tsimikas getting the clean sheet, pretty decent, and it covered for the Saliba. 7 points on my bench. So, yeah, same as now. Pretty indifferent about it. You know, it's a green arrow, so that's good, but it's still not exactly where I want to be. Why do I feel Kulusevski plays better than Saka this season? I really disagree, to be honest. I think Saka, even when he doesn't get goals or assists, he creates so many chances. Like today, he created 3. I think that's really inaccurate, I can't lie. Solanke points how. We covered that. I'm not going to try to go into that too much, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a repeat. Mauro says, 66 without a goalkeeper. Thanks, Moyes. Martinelli could have returned. Alvarez as well. Can't complain, though. Moving up 265k. Now time to assess for next week. 11.5 million in the bank is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. Yeah, Martinelli, story of his season. Good performances, constant threat, not enough end product. I think it's going to be a reoccurring theme as well. I don't think Sanchez is out for a long-term injury. Yeah, there was no timeline given by Chelsea, so let's wait and see what happens there. Mehdi says, should I bring Watkins now for Cunha or wait to the deadline? I have Trippier, who might be injured as well, and I'm willing to play him with Lascelles in Game Week 18. I'd wait for the deadline, because if you're not going to be priced out, you're really just targeting price falls and price rises, and I don't think Cunha will go down in price anytime soon. I think it's best to wait, have more information, and then make a final transfer, because if Trippier's back, then you want to keep him in your team and then go for that striker transfer. And if Trippier's out long term, which I don't think will happen, but if it does, then you also might need to make that move and go to a Trent Alexander-Arnold or the Spaniard from Spurs, Pedro Porro. Should I captain Watkins or Saka next match? I'd rather go for Watkins. The fixture is far easier. I think Arsenal-Liverpool will be quite competitive. I think it could go either way. Fine margins, but Liverpool will be the favourites in that match. You know, Anfield is such a fortress. United getting a result there today was impressive. So, yeah, Watkins all day long for me. What do you think about Kudus? 2 goals and 3 bonus. Yeah, very impressive. I was a bit disappointed with Bowen, but at least he got something in the end. Kudus has been very impressive, and when people ask me about midfielders under 7 million, apart from Gordon and Palmer, Kudus would be quite high up on that list. I captained Palmer because he was against Sheffield. That's absolutely fine. It's a good policy. I thought Chelsea would struggle against Sheffield United, and to be fair, they did. In the first half, Chelsea were absolutely awful. Their XG was 0.09, and people were losing their minds. But in the second half, I think Pochettino laid into the players, got a response, and Palmer was terrific throughout the game, so fair play. Are your Game Week points included with bonus points? Yes. Sell Son for Palmer this week or wait for the next week? There's no reason to sell Son now. I know Everton have been impressive, but do not sell Son against Everton. Definitely not. Welcome, Dave. Hopefully you're doing well. De Bruyne is back. He's travelled with Man City. Yes. I mean, it's not like he's going to start games, straight away in the Club World Cup. He'll be eased back in, and then around January he'll start some Premier League games. But give it some time, I think. I'm not so sure about that, Diogo. He's so consistent, and I think he just rarely blanks. Obviously, today he did, but he played very well. On another day, you could easily be looking at double-digit returns, so I definitely disagree on that as well. Missed the deadline again, 63 all around. Would have gained 3 for Gator Bodro. Only 3, though, so it's not too shabby, at least. Got 70 points after -4 for 2 free transfers. Good stuff. 70 points, including -4 all out. Wrong captaincy again, but up to 69k in the world. And Wei Sing says, I think the Arsenal attack are not decisive enough. I completely agree. I've been so frustrated in the last 2 games against Aston Villa and Brighton. And if Arsenal didn't win today, they could only blame themselves because they had so many chances to open up Brighton. And it really should have been, in my opinion, 4 or 5-0 today. Similar story to last week. So at least they got the win this time, but they need to be more clinical, more decisive, and make better decisions in the final third. Yeah, defense is pretty good, but they also gift goals, so Arsenal just need to be careful. Mistakenly, Kudus was my captain in this game with overall 88 points. Wow, that's probably one of the best examples of a mistake captain I've seen. Fair play. Saliba plays like Van Dijk Prime this season. I mean, there's still a long way to go for Saliba. He has made some mistakes, but his level is so high for a defender at that age. Van Dijk didn't reach that until, he was 27, 28. Thank you, Red or Dead. Thank you very much. Yes, I watched the entire game. I was scared of kind of jinxing it. In the end, thankfully, I didn't. My plan is to roll 18, Haaland back 19, then look to sell Simicast Chan. I think that's a fairly sound one. That TPS player says attack Archer, Jimenez, Alvarez. Got Saliba in defense, no free hit. I'll be honest, I think that attack needs some big improvement. Now with Alvarez, he's blanking now. He's been in quite indifferent form recently in the last month or 2. I think Watkins has to be in, and once Haaland is available again, and once City don't blank, you'll obviously want to have Haaland back in your squad. So, yeah, I think this week, very simple one, do Jimenez to Watkins, and then in the coming weeks, you could also bring in Solanke and Haaland. I think that is definitely the play for you. Would you sell Darwin, buy Watkins now? Well, I would do it, yes, for sure, but because of potential injuries that can happen in the next couple of days, and it could be in another position, I would urge some caution and wait if possible, but it looks like a locked-in transfer for me. As I said earlier, it wouldn't surprise me if Darwin did well in Game Week 18. It's kind of typical, but Watkins is a far superior option, and ultimately you will gain some points from that decision. Yeah, I think so, Wei Seng, but the thing with City, De Bruyne is also travelling as well, but it doesn't mean they're going to start games straight away. They're going to be eased back in. I got 70 points plus bonus points, good stuff. Share to who if he doesn't play. Trippier. If Trippier is available, because obviously the suspension has been served, but it's now about the injury which he sustained against AC Milan. So if Trippier's fit, then yes, I think he's still the best Newcastle defender. Apart from him, I still like Lascelles for now, but who knows? And it all depends on how long Cher is out for. Botman could be an option, and also Dan Burn. I think if I'm ranking it right now, it'd be Trippier first, Dan Burn second, and currently Lascelles third. Thoughts on Nunez? Think I've given him enough time. We'll move to Watkins, but have Isak as well. Any Isak news? I don't think we have anything definitive. You know how Eddie Howe is. I'll try to give you what he said yesterday, but I don't think there'll be anything concrete from him. So what he said about him yesterday was, with Alex, we don't think it's a problem, but he still has the after effects of his groin injury. He's just feeling a tightness, so we didn't want to risk him making that worse, especially with the upcoming schedule. So doesn't look too serious. He could be back in Game Week 18, but ultimately, I do think Isak is a problem long term, as I discussed the other day in the Trans Tips video. Do you think Odegaard's form is a concern? I completely disagree, mate, because today he was probably man of the match. I think he was incredible. Against Aston Villa, I think he was poor because he was wasteful and he also made some bad decisions. But I think today he created 4 chances and he easily should have got something. And also in the games before that against Luton Town, he played well. And the game before that. So yes, his form was concerning up until recently. But now I think we're seeing a good level from him. The game will be replayed from scratch based on Rule 15 of Top Flight Championship. Read that today in an article. Yeah, I saw that from the Daily Mail or Mail Sports. So let's wait and see for official confirmation, but if that's the case, then the points should be reset. Pranav says, my friend was new to FPL this week and he auto-picked with 20 million in the bank. Captain Mateta and got 85 points. He has no idea what he cooked. Wow, that is, I don't know if it's a stroke of genius or insane luck, but getting Mateta as your captain against Man City is absolutely wild. Salah missed many chances today. Well, they're all human, you know, even the likes of Messi miss chances. It happens, and you can't do well every game. I think Liverpool were quite wasteful today, so they kind of reminded me of Arsenal in the last couple of weeks. Thoughts on bringing in Pau Torres? I'm absolutely fine with it. I don't think Aston Villa are great defensively, but with their fixtures, especially in Game Week 18, I think it's a fine transfer. No, I'm not. FPL Cup, I always knocked out early because I always seem to have like a disastrous week when it starts. R says, any transfers? My team is I think your goalkeeper's fine for now with Vicario, but that double up in the Spurs defence does worry me. Bodder is absolutely fine, attacking threat and all that, but I think you need to make some improvements in the defensive line. If Schär is out, I'd definitely look at selling him. Trent, Trippier, Saliba would definitely be on my watch list in the coming weeks. Mikalenko as well. As for the midfield, I think that's fine. The only concern is Salah and Son in Game Week 21. And as good as Gross can be, and he's very good for bonus points, but I think he could be improved on as well. I think Gross to Palmer is a very simple move for you. And then in the weeks to come, depending on your budget, I think Alvarez to Haaland is a very simple move. And then, of course, as I said, I would look at upgrading the defense a little bit as well. I have 0 million in the bank, so can't do Kelleher to Dubravka. Should I downgrade Areola instead or focus on transfers involving Hwang to Douglas Luiz or Soufal to Burn Konsa? Then I would sell Areola because after the win today, and Fabianski played quite well, why would Areola just come back in suddenly? I'm not so sure. And Fabianski has a lot of credit in the bank, so I would look at selling Areola then. Best Darwin replacement, I have Haaland and Watkins. Not really fond of Solanke. Well, I'm sorry, but he would be the next best option, because after that, you're looking at Darwin, who I'm sure you already have. You're trying to sell him. Then you've got Alvarez. He's blanking in Game Week 18, poor form. And the other striker you're looking at is maybe Wilson or Isak, but they're going to be rotating, so I think, honestly, it has to be Solanke for me. 57 points, small red arrow. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's not a bad points total. It's very fine margins. Diane puts his team as well. Good stuff. I think you're in a good position. Maguire could be a sell, of course. I think your goalkeepers need to improve. So if you can, Turner to Dubravka, Raya, Alisson Becker, any of those options would be absolutely fine. Leno is still a great choice. Cash is a sell as well. Anderson too. So I think if I'm looking at your team right now, Hwang, Son and Salah would be options to sell in Game Week 21 onwards. But for now, I'd be looking at upgrading your goalkeeper because you might be down to 10 men, or you'll have Turner, who's not really going to do anything for you. And then I'd also be looking to upgrade your defence and go for the likes of Pedro Porro in for Anderson, and also Trent Alexander-Arnold. Maguire, let's see how long he's going to be out for. Odds on Livramento continuing to start at Burn Trippier position? I don't think so. I think Livramento will get the occasional start, but Burn and Trippier will obviously be the first choices there. Hopefully people listen to your Jimenez advice. Yeah, so look, obviously the red card is a bit of a strange one, and then you've got the Isak one missing out. So in terms of sells and skips, they did work out quite well this week in terms of what I recommended, but with Jimenez, I just don't trust him anyway. Even if he didn't get sent off, 4 big chances all season, and I just think he's had a purple patch personally. I don't really think so, we're saying. I mean, he's 21, 22. I think it's a bit premature to say that. Of course, some players peak early, like Rooney, for example, but they can still maintain a high level afterwards. And Martinelli is playing well. He's just not finishing chances. Who's your captain next week? Yeah, right now it's Watkins. I am kind of a bit tired of always going for the kind of default captain, which a lot of people are going for. And that's something I should have addressed this week, potentially. But I genuinely thought Liverpool would win 3-0 and Salah would get a goal or two. It is what it is. Should I sell Mbeumo for Richarlison or Kulusevski? I'm still not keen on Richarlison despite another goal. I'd rather go for Kulusevski out of the two. I ranked them in that order. Kulusevski first, Richarlison second, and Brennan Johnson third. I'm going to stick to that. I have Bowen. Would you double up with Kudus? Tricky one, because in certain games West Ham will be dreadful. They're not going to maybe score a goal, and it's going to be frustrating. But in Game Week 17, it can pay off, and Kudus has been exceptional recently. But yeah, I'm not completely against it, to be fair. I think something like Hwang to Kudus could be decent. I'm not sure what other transfers you'd be looking to make, maybe in Mbeumo. So I'm not completely against it, but I would rather diversify the attack a little bit. Perfect time to swap a doggy for Borro. If you can for, no hits, then yeah. Either way, a doggy is suspended this week, of course, and Borro is an upgrade. So yeah, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, McNeil is a good shout. I definitely agree on that, but he's kind of someone who really pops up in a certain game week, does really well, and then goes missing for so many weeks afterwards. But Everton are one of the best attacking sides in the league right now. Haaland to Solanke -4 worth it. Already have 11 playing in game week 18. It depends who you'd bench in that scenario, but if you take that hit and then bench someone like Saliba away to Liverpool, then yeah, I'd do it. Like I said before, I have Anderson and Nakamba in the bench. Do I still bench Haaland or transfer already, have Watkins and Solanke? Well, yeah, with Haaland, he's blanking in game week 18 anyway, so with him, if you're basically down to 10 men and you're relying on Anderson or Nakamba coming on, then I would be looking to sell Haaland and then buying him back in the weeks to come. Thankfully, Leno pick outscored Martinez, saves for the win. Yeah, you're right. I would have gone for Martinez myself, but I didn't expect either team to keep a clean sheet. So I think that's actually good logic there that you used, and it paid off. Is Isak to Watkins a no-brainer? I believe so. Now, Isak could be back and start in game week 18, but I genuinely think Watkins is far better. You think Man United played well today? I think they defended well. They weren't good on the ball, but they had some dangerous moments, and Liverpool should have won the game. I think they were wasteful in the final third, but you have to give credit to United. They stuck in and they got a result. Took a -12 hit, but I have a vision. I want to see that vision. Tell me what it is. FPL.team predicted 56 points for my team, beat it by 14. Yeah, I mean, the sites generally are quite low. If you use Draft Hunt, for example, it will be relatively higher most weeks. A lot of the time, I'll have 65 predicted points, and sometimes I don't even meet that. But yeah, the sites generally are quite harsh, you could argue, with the rankings and the predicted points. I mean, that's not a guarantee. That's a good point. It could be Gakpo. But I still think Darwin would be a massive threat to Arsenal. He scored last time out at the Emirates, despite Liverpool losing that game. So I think Darwin is still a handful. He's just very inconsistent and hit and miss. Just put in Burn for Lascelles. Please tell me I won't regret it. I mean, look, Burn got 14 points this week, scored upon his first start since the injury. But yeah, look, with Lascelles, he might not be a long-term option anyway. If Cher is available and you've got Botman coming back, then Lascelles will drop down to the bench. So long-term, could be a sound transfer, but who knows? Maybe for now, they'll both still play in the team and score a similar amount of points. Play wildcard in game week 18 or 19. Depends on your squad situation. I think if you're quite well set for blank game week 18, I'd rather use it in game week 19. Which forwards do you recommend? Like Nkunku. Still not on board with Nkunku yet. He didn't even start the game against Sheffield United. He's someone to wait and see. Yeah, I think if I'm recommending forwards, apart from the obvious Haaland when he's back, it's going to be Watkins and Solanke for me. They're the two best right now. Apart from that, you're probably looking at Alvarez, but you need him to come back into form. And I also think Alvarez could be a problem when De Bruyne's back, because there could be a lot of benchings there for the Argentine. QKA plus U0 says, hey man, I made a mistake last week buying Reguilon. I'm looking to sell him. Should I get Branthwaite, Powell or Borro? Out of the three, Borro's my favourite long-term. He's got the attacking potential, bonus points. But defensively, you have to say Spurs are probably the weakest of the three teams you mentioned. In terms of getting an immediate impact this week and a good chance for a clean sheet, I'd go for Pau Torres. Long-term, I'd go for Borro. Sell Haaland. Depends on your team situation, but for a lot of people, I'd say yes, and you can always buy him back in a week or two. Is Hwang a hold for now? Yeah, I think so. I still think he's a hold. He's fairly decent. I'm quite surprised. I thought Wolves would score today, but yeah, I think he's a keep. No Haaland from game week 18 up from 3.5 million to 380k. That's really good stuff. Oh, from game week 8, yes. That's really good. Trent is just a beast. He actually has outscored Haaland prior to this week for the last 6-7. Yeah, that is true. And Trent is a bonus points machine. Even against Palace, goal conceded, no goal contributions, 2 bonus points. Diaby to Kudus, yeah, I'm absolutely on board with that. Same with Gordon, Palmer, good transfers there as well. Who the bloody hell do I bench out? Saliba, Chan and Tsimikas? Saliba. Despite him getting 7 points today, I'd be very surprised if Arsenal kept the clean sheet at Anfield. I doubt it, to be honest. Will Burns start next game week? I think so. Now, there is obviously the odd chance because he just came back from an injury that he could be rested, and there's going to be a lot of rotation coming up in the next couple of weeks, but yeah, I think he will. Martinelli will have to be brave and bypass defenders. Yeah, I think with Martinelli, sometimes, look, generally he is very direct, but I think this season he has cut in a lot and he's been a bit less direct than he usually is. But on his day, he's electric. I think his end product needs to improve big time this season because you saw what he did in the last campaign I don't think he'll get anywhere near those numbers, unfortunately. Not this season. As a Benfica fan, I know quite well the issues of supporting Darwin Núñez, Raul Jimenez, Vinicius, yeah. So no space for them in my team. Well, there you go. That's the benefit of having prior knowledge about these players. But with Jimenez, he was a decent option at Wolves a few years ago. Yeah, Vinicius, absolutely fair enough. And Darwin Núñez, look, he's still young, a lot of potential. I think he will do well in certain games and deliver big, but it's just not worth keeping him in the long haul, in my opinion. Just thinking long-term, Dubravka has Liverpool, Villa and Man City in his next 5. Does that impact my transfer of Areola to Dubravka? I still think it's worth it because in the other 2 games he can do well, and it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle kept 1 clean sheet out of those 3 games, probably against Villa. But of course, it's all relative. And when you're comparing them to Areola, who could have lost his spot now, to Fabianski, you're comparing 0 points to 2 or 3 in most of these game weeks, potentially 1 clean sheet as well. So, yeah, I think it's still worth it, but you make a good point that the fixtures aren't great in the immediate short term, and you could make a case for going for Raya instead, but then he's got Liverpool away next. Haaland to Alvarez, I have Cunha and Watkins. Well, it makes no sense to do a Haaland to Alvarez because they blank in Game Week 18. It makes no sense to do that. If you are going to get rid of Haaland, you'd go to Solanke, I think. Selling Son because I have him and Salah and Hwang Hee-chan, and I have to start start selling the players? No, I'm sorry, but I personally would not recommend that at all. You have the right idea and the right logic, but selling Son against Everton in Game Week 18 at home, I'm not sure about that, to be honest. I think with Son, you sell him, yes, in the coming weeks, of course, but not right now. Who do you even go to who has a better fixture or chance of scoring points this week? If you actually break it down and go to predicted points, which isn't gospel, but it does provide a decent foundation for what's going to happen. If we actually check the predicted points, Son is top with 7.3, and Salah is second with 6.3. Then you've got Watkins, Bowen, Gordon in the top 5, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Palmer, Eze and Kulusevski in the top 10. But Son against Everton, I know they've been in good form, but I still think Son has a good chance of hauling there. Then we look at the fixture difficulty rating. Chelsea, Brighton, Villa and Man United are in the top 4. You've also got Fulham there completing the top 5. Brentford, Man City, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest and Wolves are in the bottom 5. And in terms of price changes, Leno, Son, Tarkowski, Richarlison, Vicario and Doku could be changing price tonight. Doku would be going down and the rest would be going up. And in terms of the top captaincy option, no surprises here. Salah was by far the most captained and he flopped 3 points in the end. At least he got a clean sheet. 71.3% of managers in the top 100k captain him, but to no avail. Haaland was second there in the list, Son third, Saka fourth, all of them blanking, Solanke fifth. His points could be reset. Let's keep an eye out for that. Alvarez sixth, Watkins seventh. So as you can see, the Palmer captaincy was a mega differential in the top 100k, 0.32%. So honestly, those that did it, massive credit to you. And in terms of draft pound, this is what they're recommending for my team. They are saying cash to Pau Torres is the best transfer to make. They're also saying Watkins for the captaincy, Salah vice, and my bench should be Areola, Tsimikas, Saliba, and Cameron Archer. And if you actually click on the players here, it says predicted not to start. And that's the main reason why they're recommending this move of cash to Pau Torres. And I'll actually go ahead and make the move and optimize it here live using draft hound. But I'm also considering other moves, even Son as a very short-term punt, but I think that's quite unlikely because that's booking in a transfer. I'm even looking at getting in Solanke for Archer or Darwin Núñez. Now, this could be an issue if I bring in Pau Torres as well. If I'm trying to get Solanke and Haaland for Darwin and Archer, I might be priced out of that. But overall, I think Pau in for Matty Cash is a very simple transfer, and it does make sense. A clean sheet against Sheffield United is very likely. Then I can bench him in the games like Man United coming up as well. And if we actually go and show you FPL.team, a free resource, that's what I've also gone for here. Pau Torres in my team, and my predicted points has risen actually from 52 to 57 by bringing in Pau Torres for Matty Cash. And look, I could always play Tsimikas or Saliba, but I would expect both teams to score in that game. That's going to be a massive one for the title potentially. And the captaincy does seem quite simple this week, but Salah is still a great shout there against Arsenal. Apart from that, I think it's just Watkins or nothing from my team anyway. I'd also put Son right up there in the captaincy equation, and that's why, for a lot of people, I would not be selling Son just yet. In the coming weeks, like Game Week 2021, absolutely fine, but right now, I don't think that's the right call. If we go back to my team, you can see my points without the bonus points for the Liverpool players, but the rest, of course, will be factored in. And I've got the 7 points for Saliba also first on my bench. Amrabat is a worrier today. Well, he competed very well physically, but I think on the ball he's very poor. And the same goes for McTominay. He's even worse. He can't even control a ball sometimes. Last minute change, captain from Palmer. What a loss. Yeah. I mean, that's why sometimes don't overthink it, back your gut, but it can also work the other way. You make a late change and it works out for you, so it is what it is. Is Mateta a good option with Edouard out? I don't really think so. I know Palace surprised everyone against Man City, but I would not trust Mateta in the long term. Would you bench Tsimikas or Saliba in Game Week 18? I'd bench Saliba. Play Anderson to Powell or play him against Brighton and save the transfer? Play Anderson to Powell. I would make the transfer. Play Archer or Taylor, or sell Archer or Alvarez to Solanke for a -4. Difficult one. I'm not expecting either team to do particularly well. I'd probably play Taylor, but I have to reconsider that. Or sell Archer or Alvarez to Solanke for a -4. I would sell Archer to Solanke for a -4 if possible. I think that's a good move. Free hit Game Week 18, yes, that will be the plan. I'll make a video on it. There's no point talking about it now because I want to save it for a free hit video. I got Alvarez and Nunez for weeks now, and they both suck, quite frankly. Yeah, recently I completely agree. They're both young strikers with a lot of potential. I think Alvarez is quality, but still a bit raw, and in the last couple of weeks he has been quite dismal, in my opinion. Well, I've done it before. I've captained Salah against Arsenal before, but I think I'm going to go for Watkins right now. Of course, there's still a long way to go for the deadline, and I could change my mind. Salah will be my vice-captain minimum, but I think Watkins would be the best shout. Would you play a Dingra ahead of Darwin Game Week 18? To be honest, as bad as Darwin has been, he's so frustrating. If he starts against Arsenal, I think he's got a good chance of hauling. I'm not going to lie. What to do with Isak and Gordon? I mean, there's no reason to sell Gordon, in my opinion, so you keep him. Isak, though, is a sell. Adebayo, Mateta's differentials viable. I mean, Adebayo has been scoring goals recently. You have to give him credit for that, but just like Mateta, I don't trust these options long term, and over the course of this season, you know, the likes of Isak and Wilson, they'll do better, even though I don't trust them in terms of minutes, and then you've got many others. Even Jesus can pop up from time to time, but most importantly, Watkins, Solanke, Alvarez, once he comes back into form, even Darwin Nunez would all be better. You think Lascelles will still be in the first squad? If Cher isn't injured, and of course, he technically is injured, but if it isn't too serious and he's back for Game Week 18, then yeah, I think Lascelles would drop to the bench. I have no doubts about that. But of course, let's keep an eye out for any updates on Fabian Cher. Had a bad start to the season, took 16 hits and had the biggest green arrow. This week went from 4 million to 2.6 million. Will I finish in the top 100k? It's possible, but it's going to be difficult, of course. And I think the top 100k is so difficult to enter this season, and there's still not much separating where you are, for example, to where I am, and then from me to top 100k. There's fine margins. You need to get the captaincy right and also get some luck swinging your way. Maybe Smith Rowe can be a threat for Martinelli. I don't really think so, to be honest. It's just Martinelli or Trossard on the left, and Smith Rowe will play as one of the midfielders as an impact sub, but I would not expect Smith Rowe to get many starts in the Premier League, if any at all. What do you think of going completely Haalandless long term? I mean, look, there are plenty of examples of people doing well without Haaland this season, but my plan is still to go with him, to be quite honest with you. I'm not against those that are going, without Haaland. You know, everyone has their own plan and it can pay off. It's about how you compensate without having Haaland with the rest of your team, having Trippier, Trent, and all these great options like Salah. But with no Son, no Salah, because of their cup competitions in January, I think it's a bit difficult to justify going without Haaland in that period. Start Hwang Hee-chan or Watkins in Game Week 19. Watkins has a bad record versus United, and Hwang Hee-chan is at home to a weakened Brentford. I'd still go for Watkins. He's one of those players you just never want to bench. I say this about Saka, Son, Salah, Erling Haaland, and of course, it's different with each one of those options there, but Watkins is so consistent. He's someone I'd never really want to bench, to be honest. Plans during the African Cup of Nations and Asian Cup? Doesn't really affect me too much, to be honest. It will be selling Salah, I think, quite simple, and also avoiding Son for now. So yeah, I don't really think it impacts my decisions too much. And actually, I could find myself struggling to, find a way to redistribute the funds. Maybe I downgrade Salah to a cheap midfielder, and then I buy Trent at the back, for example. That's what I could be looking to do. And also buying Trippier. So I think that's a very good solution for me. And then ultimately, when I want Salah back, it will be a pain to get him in. But yeah, I think that's what I'm looking to do. Buy Trent and or Trippier at the back. I like how people sell Son when he blanks and get him back immediately every game week. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing is, he is going to go off to the Asian Cup soon, but that's still 3-4 game weeks from now. Game week 18, 19, 20, still plenty of time for him to do very well. And he's one of the most explosive players in the game. You think Cash starts against Sheffield? No. And that's why I'm looking to sell him at the moment. I must say, I think the time for differential captains has come. Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, most of the player base is too scared to deviate. Yeah. When I'm looking at my own situation with Salah, I genuinely believe he would do the best. And I always do this with these players. But, of course, if you think about it, Salah and Haaland aren't going to do the best every single game week. And the likes of Palmer against the Sheffield United can do something. So I think that's absolutely fine and fair for you to say. But yeah, I'll be honest. For me personally, I genuinely just captain someone because I think they'll do the best in my team. And generally, I get it wrong, to be honest. Why Gordon is predicted not to start? He might have had another issue. He's been a constant injury doubt for the last couple of weeks. Let's put it that way. So that's probably why. So if we actually look at what Eddie Howe said recently, I don't think there's anything really to say about Gordon, but he's been flagged for the last couple of weeks and he always finds a way of playing. But yeah, look, rotation can happen. If Isak is fully fit, they can play Isak on the left and Wilson down the middle. But I still think with Barnes out for a couple of months, Anthony Gordon will be quite nailed on in most game weeks. Will Trippier be back for Luton? I honestly can't tell you. And I also think Luton could be quite tough. I'd actually rather buy into Trippier after that game. You told me to get Mikalenko for -4? Oh, it is what it is. I thought he'd play. For me, captain is either between Solanke and Watkins. I can't decide. I'd go for Watkins out of those two, but it's always best to back your gut. And yeah, if people ask me about Salah or Palmer for the captaincy this week, I would have said Salah. And sometimes you have to make your own decisions. Should I take it and replace Gay with Colwill, Tarkowski, or Burn? Out of those three, I'll be honest, yeah, it's probably Burn. He's my favourite out of the three. Tarkowski would be a consideration, but Mikalenko's even better once he's back. So yeah, Burn. I think that they announced that they are not closing this week. Does this mean Bournemouth versus Luton could be this week? I'm not so sure. I think it's just best to wait for more updates. Otherwise, it's all pure speculation. But yeah, if they completely reset the game from the beginning, then the points, that Solanke got, for example, will be lost. Yes, we've talked a lot about the Solanke points, so I don't want to really go into that too much. Was captaining Salah a mistake or bad luck? I don't think it was a mistake. Now, of course, there are so many examples this season of the most captain player doing poorly, and this is yet another example. But you look at Salah's record against the Big Six, in particular against Man United. You look at all the injuries and suspensions Man United had. Salah obviously delivering so many double-digit returns this season. The underlying numbers, there are so many boxes that he ticked, and sometimes they're not going to produce. It is what it is. No one expected Liverpool to not score a goal against Man United. Triple captain Salah is also a big howler from me. I know someone who did it, but he's a Man United fan, so he wanted to jinx him, and he got what he wanted. Yeah, he's poor on the ball, but he's very hard-working. Of course, look, he's a DM, he's a destroyer, but I just think overall, long-term, he's not someone Man United can rely on, personally. Best Brighton assets? Difficult one, to be honest, because there's so much rotation there, for one. And I think Pascal Gross would be right up there for me. Matoma is still a shout. I like Ferguson a lot, but he needs a consistent run of games, and I still think he's a bit raw. So, yeah, Noah Stupinian as well. When I'm looking at it, I genuinely think it'd be Gross or Matoma as my favourite assets from Brighton. Onana and even Amrabat are really good transfers for Man United. They just need time. I'm not sure about really good transfers. I mean, Onana has had a lot of howlers which have cost Man United in the Champions League. He's been fairly good in the league recently, but he still has his moments. As for Amrabat, yeah, I mean, I could be wrong about this. It's a loan signing after all. But I don't know. I'm not fully convinced by him yet, to be quite honest with you. One player I was really impressed by from Man United is Mainu, an 18-year-old playing in that atmosphere. He got booked quite early on, and he still managed to keep his head and did fairly well. Will Isak play next game week against Luton as a starter? If I had to guess, I'd probably say yes, but it all depends on, you know, what the doctors come up with and their assessment of Isak. They're going to be doing a lot of tests on him, and they don't want to risk him at all. And honestly, I would not expect him to play 90 minutes anyway. He's going to be sharing so many starts and minutes with Callum Wilson, so he's just a big headache I want to avoid, personally. Ipsy says, will having Watkins, Alvarez, Solanke make it hard to bring Haaland back in? Potentially, yeah. In my own situation, I could actually bring both of them in. So if I go back to FPL.team and do some transfers and cover this. So Darwin to Haaland, let's bring him back in. And then we'll do Archer to Solanke. I would actually be able to afford this and Pau Torres and still have 0.1 million in the bank. Of course, because of this setup, I would have so many benching headaches, but yeah, things would be looking pretty good, actually. I am open to taking a -4 hit in Gameweek 18. The hits have been fairly decent recently in UCL Fantasy and FPL. But yeah, overall, I think it is possible, but it all depends. For me personally, I can do it. It is cutting it a bit short, and it's going to be a risk. 0.1 million, that could easily switch in a matter of days or hours. But yeah, overall, I think it can be doable for a lot of people. Let's now go back to my team again. We'll go through some more questions. We have been streaming for, wow, a little while already now. Almost an hour, so let's keep on going. Smash the like button and subscribe for new. I have Kudus. Good stuff, Ashton. Liverpool today struggles. I still think they played well. I think they played well. I think a bit like Arsenal in recent games, the decision-making, the final third, it just wasn't there for them today. Should I sell Hwang Hee-chan, and if so, suggest for who? I have Bowen, Salah, Saka, and Gordon. Palmer. Dallo got 2 yellow cards in about 4.7 seconds. Mike Oliver needs relegated to the Vanarama League. Yeah, Mike Oliver, not the first time he's done it. To think that last season we thought, a lot of us did, that he's the best English ref, it goes to show how bad the referees are. Is getting Trent a good option? Yes. Especially when Son and Salah go off to their cup competitions in January. It's a very good way of redistributing the funds. I think Trent is one of the best defenders in the game right now, if not the best. At this point, I'm thinking to start Taylor over Darwin next week. I wouldn't do that, to be honest. I genuinely would go for Darwin. I know he's been awful, but he's not going to keep blanking, in my opinion. McGinn as an option for Gameweek 18. Nailed, captain, and somehow advance. Yeah, I'm absolutely on board with it. I don't think I'd captain him personally, but then again, you know, I've said that about a lot of players and been wrong, so let's wait and see. I'm a United fan that said that last week on your stream. Yeah, that's true, but I also have someone in my mini league, a friend of mine, who also did the same thing, so I don't think you're the only one who did it. Maney versus Miley. I mean, I haven't seen too much of both of them. I've only seen a handful of games, but both impressive. Maybe I'm a bit more impressed by Mainu, but look, it's early days. They're both young players with a lot of potential. Let's see if they can keep on pushing. Wang Yi-chan to Palmer, yes. Darwin, Saka out for Watkins, Richarlison for a hit. I can't afford Darwin to Watkins, getting impatient with Saka. Honestly, Saka to Richarlison is a mistake, in my opinion. I know you need the funds to do Darwin to Watkins. I'd find another way. I generally wouldn't do that. 71 -4, Kudus and Palmer. Good stuff. I'm seeing a few people with Kudus there. That's really good. Will Newcastle keep a clean sheet next week? I don't think so. I think Luton will score. Prediction for Arsenal-Liverpool game? I'd love to think Arsenal... I mean, look, they can win and they can get a result, but I think Liverpool still are the favourites. I'd give them the edge. It might be very tight, but I'm going to go for 3-1 Liverpool right now, and I hope I'm wrong. Have we heard anything about Robinson? No, I don't think so. All I saw about Marco Silva is complaining about the referees, and he was absolutely right, to be quite honest with you. The latest update he gave... yeah, no updates really to discuss there. So yeah, we do have almost 300 people watching. Let's be sure to rack up the likes and get this stream to over 150. It'd be massively appreciated. And for those of you that are new, consider subscribing. We are 63 subscribers away from 22,000, and that is the aim before the end of the year. It'd be a great Christmas present, obviously. I massively appreciate those that are subscribed already and like the streams and all of that good stuff, engaging in the conversation in the live chats and the comment section. So thank you very much. Also, the channel members, patrons, those that send in super chats, you are massively appreciated as always. So this question by Badar, would you swap Watkins for Alvarez or Nunez? I mean, at this moment in time, it's tricky because Alvarez long-term, I think, is better than Darwin, so long as De Bruyne is out. But that's the big problem. Once De Bruyne's back and you've got Haaland in the mix, I just don't think Alvarez will start as many games. You know what? I'd probably sell Alvarez. I have a good feeling about, or a bad feeling, you could argue, about Darwin against Arsenal. So, yeah, I think Watkins in for Alvarez at the moment. How many game weeks is the Asian Cup? Roughly until game week 25. The same goes for the AFCON Cup of Nations. Is Mac 10 a big miss to Liverpool? I think he is a miss, of course, and I think Endo has been, I don't know, I haven't been too impressed by Endo. I thought he'd be a good signing, a very good signing at that, and so far he's kind of been a bit indifferent for me. I think McAllister in the future needs to be a bit more advanced for Liverpool, and they need to sign a proper defensive midfielder. Once they do, I think Liverpool go to another level. Mitchell as a sell? Yeah. The same goes for any Palace defender. I'm not sure there's a good English ref in the Premier League. Yeah, no, I completely agree. One ref that I was quite impressed by, dare I say, is Tim Robinson. I've seen him in a few Arsenal games. He's been allocated a lot of Arsenal matches recently, but today, I mean, absolutely awful. What can I say? And I don't want to talk about referees. He didn't impact the result anyway. But Jesus Christ, I mean, some of the decisions are mind-boggling, to say the least. Will Watkins' effective ownership be over 100? I believe so. People will look at that fixture, Watkins' returns, especially in the last week or this week. Yeah, I generally think he will. Darwin will continue to blank, mark my words, chat. I mean, yeah, he's going to blank more often than return, but he is going to produce a return at some point, surely. I don't really rate Darwin highly, mate. I'm looking at Arsenal, the way we defend, and I think generally, yeah, we are quite good defensively, but we do give chances, and Darwin does cause havoc. And yeah, he just blanked Darwin. He produced 1 point. He's been awful recently, but he's not going to keep blanking every single week. That's the only point I'm making. I don't rate Darwin that much. I think he's a young striker. He's got a lot of potential, but he's still very raw. Will he ever get to that world-class level? I personally don't think so, but yeah, I don't really rate him highly, but I also don't think he's complete trash either. Is Saliba to Dan Burn a good move? No. I would not do that. Yeah, Dan Burn has a better chance of a clean sheet this week, but long-term Saliba is a better option. Predictions, will Darwin get 1 or 2 points next week? Look, this is an unpopular opinion and people are slagging me for it, fair enough, but I generally think Darwin could get 6+ points against Arsenal. That's just the way I think about it. I hope he doesn't. I hope he blanks, even if I keep him. But yeah, I personally think he can get a return. Would you sell Cash if you still had him at this point? I do have him, and I'm looking to sell, yeah. Miley is very calm, even when playing big games, mainly struggle against physical and high-pressing teams. To be fair, though, Newcastle are also better organised in the midfield. They dominate games more than Man United. That also does play a part, and that you could also use that argument against what I said about Amrabat and McTominay, for example. But I think Manu is quite composed, actually. Is he the finished article? Definitely not. And Miley is still obviously very good. I think they're quite similar level in terms of their current level and their potential. So let's wait and see. Prediction for West Ham versus United. Tricky one. I might go for a West Ham win still. Yeah, I think I'd still go for a West Ham win, probably a 2-1, but things change. Maybe in a few days' time I'll feel differently. Thank you, Footy Matters. I appreciate that. Like. What to do with Darwin, Martinelli, Areola, and Cash? Tricky situations. Martinelli plays well, not enough end product. Areola might not even get his spot back. Matty Cash, I don't expect him to start against Sheffield United now. Darwin, so frustrating to say the least. Long-term, Darwin to Watkins or Solanke, very simple move. I'd even do it this week, potentially, especially Watkins, because even if Darwin scores against Arsenal, Watkins could still outscore him, and also in the long term. I'd also look at selling Martinelli, to be honest. Yeah, just very frustrating as well. A lot of bark, no bite, really, unfortunately. So Martinelli to Bowen, Saka, Gordon, Palmer, Kudus. I think any single one of those midfielders, whoever you don't have, is absolutely fine. If you don't have another goalkeeper apart from Areola, then I would consider making a move now. Raya long-term is good, Alisson Becker as well. And of course, you've got the likes of Dubravka and Leno, who are still very good options. And as for Cash, I think moving him to Pau Torres is very simple. You've also got Mikalenko when he's back. Tarkovsky's okay. You've also got Pedro Porro, Trent, Trippier. So it's all about money and how much funds you have in the bank. But yeah, those are the replacements for each single one of those options. What would I prioritize? I think I'd prioritize right now Martinelli and Areola, but it all depends on your squad. What do you think about Botman? well, he's someone to keep back on the radar again. I think in terms of bonus points and attacking threat, he'll be a bit lower down compared to Burn, definitely compared to Trippier. But yeah, he's going to be a good option again. And unfortunately, that could be the end of the Lascelles' dream. Yeah, I think Martinelli is a sell, unfortunately. Very good performances, but just not enough returns. And of course, a bit similar to the Darwin thing, he's not going to keep on blanking. There will be, you know, maybe a spell like he did last season where Martinelli goes ballistic and does really well. But I think also the system that Arsenal deploy does limit Martinelli a little bit. Thank you, Potter. I appreciate that. Thank you for your great work. You think selling a Doggy or Walker for Borro for a -4? Well, they're both basically blanking this week. A Doggy suspended, Walker off to the Club World Cup. I'd rather sell Doggy because long-term Man City have good fixtures. I don't want to double up on the Spurs defence. And yeah, I think I'd rather sell Doggy. 70 points, missed the deadline, 2 free transfers. Well, that's a blessing in disguise then. Good score, 2 free transfers next week. That is a really good position to be in. That Menu struggling against physical teams is a tough comparison. Menu plays as a holding mid. Miley's a more advanced box-to-box 8. Yeah, that's also true. And look, they're both very young. But yeah, I generally think they're both very... They've got so much potential, but yeah, very difficult to compare both of them because of the team situations and, as you say, the position. Is Kudus a priority? Not a priority, but is he a good option to buy? Yes. I would even consider that as well. But the problem with Kudus is he's off to the AFCON Cup of Nations in Gameweek 21. So yeah, it's difficult for me to say he's an absolute buy now because he'd only last you 3 weeks. How highly do you rate the Newcastle with Tonali? We didn't see much of that, but Tonali wasn't doing particularly great either, to be honest. Of course, the day Aurelio doesn't play, West Ham keep a clean sheet. Yeah, that's true. Ended up not having a playing goalkeeper, Johnston, and a -4 already. Yeah, not ideal, to say the least, but there you go. That is FPL for you. Best goalkeeper to replace Areola? I gave 4 earlier. I've said it a few times now. Leno, Dubravka, Alisson, and Raya would be my favourites. In terms of order, I think long-term it would be probably Alisson or Raya. They're my favourites. But then again, you might want 2 or 3 Liverpool outfield players, Salah, Trent, etc. So it could make it difficult to do that. So I think Raya is a good long-term option. Now, buying him this week is awkward. I try to avoid that if possible. But yeah, long-term, I think is decent. Which can you suggest for share or hold? I got Tsimikas, Saliba, Pedro Porro. Well, with Share, wait and see what the latest updates are, but I think switching him to a Burn, a Trippier, a Trent would be absolutely fine. And of course, wait for updates on Trippier as well. Shoot a free hit next week. Depends how many players you have out in terms of injuries, suspensions, and blanks. You know, do you have 2 free Man City players and same with Brentford? If so, then a free hit makes sense, but for example, if you look at my team, I got no Brentford or Man City players, so there's really no need for me to use the free hit. Yes, with a free hit, I could add Heung-min Son and another Spurs attacker. I could also go for maybe a Newcastle forward like Callum Wilson or something like that. But I just don't really see too much gains for myself personally, but it could be different for you or someone else. Hi Dylan, do you think Lascelles starts against Luton? Yes. But it all depends on Sven Botman's fitness and also Fabian Schär. Thoughts on Jesus? I still think the same as before. UCL Fantasy, great option. In FPL, he's going to be very hit and miss. Of course, today, very good performance. Got the goal. 3 bonus points, but I still think there are better players elsewhere. Yeah, like I said, I think it was very indifferent and didn't make a huge difference there as well. Odegaard to Saka, last 3 Arsenal matches, Odegaard seemed to me close to the box and more dangerous. What do you think as an Arsenal fan? Yeah, I think last few games Odegaard's been terrific, but today they both played well. Saka created 3 chances, Odegaard created 4. They both had a few shots on target, but yeah, Saka for me is just more consistent, and he's going to return in most games this season, and that's why I just keep Saka and focus on another transfer. Best midfielder differential for Gameweek 18? Now that is a good question. Best midfielder differential. If we actually go to the fixtures now, I think Bailey would be right up there. Came off the bench, got an assist today. I think that fixture is just too good to turn down. So, yeah, I think Bailey would be right up there for me. Apart from him, Kulusevski against Everton would be a good shout. Of course, people would say Richarlison against his old club. Because apart from that, I'm looking at this and yeah, maybe a Fulham midfielder like an Iwobi. I saw someone mention him just now, but yeah, for me, if I'm kind of narrowing it down, I'd say Bailey, Kudus, or Kulusevski would be right up there, and I'm mainly looking at Bailey. I think he's probably the best one. What do you think of Iwobi? Could be a decent shout in certain game weeks like 18, but long term, not someone I trust. Still have Haaland what to do. Thanks. Depends. If you've got good squad depth and you're happy with your team, you can keep him. If you are then down to 10 men, or you need to rely on an Anderson coming on for you, or Cash, who might not even start, then I would sell Haaland for now and bring him back in the next couple of weeks. Is a -4 for Sanchez to Dubravka? Fine, I'm guessing that is. Yeah, all right. I got Pedro Porro before the price rise. It's not ideal, to be honest with you. Wait for more updates with Sanchez, but yeah, if Sanchez is out long term, I'd take the hit. Top 3 strikers, Game Week 18. Watkins, Solanke, and tricky one. Top 3 strikers. I'd probably go for Callum Wilson, dare I say. Yeah, even Darwin would be right up there despite his recent frustrations. So yeah, those would be the options I'd recommend. Dylan, I did the math, and it turns out you got 71 in total, not with the -4. In total, you got 67. I'll double check that, but I'm fairly sure on livefpl.net it says I got 75. So I'll check that. So let's see what it says there. Yeah, with bonus points, I do have 71. That's what it says here. So, yeah, 7 from Dubravka, 7 from Tsimikas, 8 from Pedro Porro, 6 from Lascelles, 3 from Saka, 6 from Gordon, 8 from Bowen, 14 from Palmer, 6 from Salah, 1 from Darwin, and 9 from Watkins. So I think the difference that you haven't taken into account is the 1 bonus point for Tsimikas and 3 for Watkins. That's probably why. Can Xhaka with Leverkusen win Arsenal's midfield? I'm not sure what the question is. Can Xhaka with Leverkusen? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that is. Amron as an option? No. Just a no for me. I'll keep it very simple. Is Solanke the best Haaland replacement? I'd say Watkins is overall, but apart from Watkins, yeah, Solanke is next in line. Just did Aurier to Dubravka. Fair enough. I'm not actually expecting a clean sheet for Newcastle against Luton Town, but I'm probably going to stick with the 1 or 2 Newcastle defensive line there. Aurier look good for next week against Man U. Is he going to play, though? That's the question. It's not about keeping a clean sheet, because West Ham could against Man United. I don't think they will, but they could. The big question with Areola is, will he start now with Fabianski keeping a clean sheet and doing well? I'm not sure. Other goalkeeper I have is Johnston, who is red flagged. Should I make a goalkeeper transfer now or save for 19? Wait for more updates. I'm going to keep saying this to most people. Information is king, because you might need to make a transfer elsewhere, which is more important. But my current inclination is to sell Areola because... or Johnston, actually, with the fixtures, and he's red flagged and injured. So, yeah, I'd sell Johnston, and I'd go to one of those options I keep talking about. Dubravka, Alisson, Raya, or Leno. What do you think about Saka to Richarlison for the next few game weeks? Just no chance for me. You say Arsenal's fixtures look tough, but West Ham, Fulham, I think Crystal Palace as well shortly after that. And even against Liverpool, Saka can do something. So, yeah, Richarlison... really good performances last 2 game weeks, at least against Newcastle. Got the goal against Nottingham Forest, but there's no way he's a better option than Saka, in my opinion. Douglas Luiz says, Lars, yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, I think that's a good shout from you lot. Should I take a -4 for Areola, Turner to Dubravka? Archer to Watkins? I'd personally do it. And right now, I'd probably sell Areola. Turner could lose a spot once again, but... yeah, Areola to Dubravka, Archer to Watkins, absolutely sound. Top 4 defenders long term, budget no issue. Trent, Trippier, Saliba, and Pedro Porro. Mikalenko will be 5th. Should I upgrade Livramento to Trippier after him coming back from suspension? I would, but wait for more updates, because Trippier also had an injury problem, so he's not out of the woods yet, as they say. Should we start thinking about Almiron? No, just personally, no. If you want a Newcastle attacker, Gordon is more than enough, and he's more consistent than Almiron. You think Mourinho can still manage a big team? Yes, but yeah, with Mourinho, I think he can manage a big team. Will he? I'm not sure he will. When is Haaland back? Well, Game Week 19, he should be back, of course. Game Week 18, there is the Club World Cup, so he's going to be missing out, but of course, it all depends on the injury. I think he'll be back fairly soon. I mean, difficult. Arsenal, I mean, Declan Rice for me is one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. Havertz is clicking now. Odegaard is also getting back to his normal level. But yeah, with Leverkusen, they've been a unit this season. You know, Wirtz is obviously a very coveted midfielder that many clubs want. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich will surely be in for him. Man City could even be in for him as well. I'd still back Arsenal's midfield, but there's no denying that Leverkusen have a very solid unit. Thinking of bringing Richarlison for Son, Odegaard for Salah when the cups start. Okay, fair enough, yeah. When they go off, that's absolutely fine. I would maybe consider some alternatives, but I think those are still good, sound moves. Jack Grealish is on fire at Man City. He is. He's scoring goals. The first time he scored in 3 consecutive Premier League games in his career. But now he's got a blank, and Man City, you know, a bit shaky, I think. I'm very surprised at the way they bottled the game yesterday, but it happens to the best of us. Sell Ariella for Dubravka? I'd say yes, but wait for more information as always. I think there could be bigger fires to put out than a goalkeeper. I have Ariel and Turner. Should I take a hit? At the moment, I'd say yes, but don't make the transfer yet. Chance for Bailey to start against Sheffield? I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not in the know for Aston Villa, but I'd say 70% chance. Is Solanke going to get his points for bonus? I doubt it. I very much doubt he'll get the bonus points. Can he get the points? The 6-pointer? Yes, he can. But it all depends on what the final decision is. If they continue the game from where it left off, then Solanke will get 6 points. I'm very sure about that. But if the game is reset from the beginning, then the points will surely be reset. What forwards do you recommend outside of Solanke, Watkins, Haaland, Alvarez? I mean, who do you go to? That is the big question. Gabriel Jesus could be a decent punt, but I don't really back him to be consistent in terms of goal output. Then you've got Darwin Nunez, but you know how frustrating he can be. Then you've got Callum Wilson. He's probably the next one I'd go to. Tsimikas and Dalot, who should go out first? Dalot. I mean, why sell Tsimikas now when he just gave you 7 points? He's still going to start most games until Robertson's back. And then you've got Dalot, who is suspended. So it has to be Dalot for me. Best cash replacement, I'm selling for a -4. Well, apart from the obvious Trents and Trippiers of the world, if Trippier's back, of course, from his injury as well, I'd be looking at Saliba, Pedro Porro, and Mikalenko once he's back as well. I think the best one for you, considering fixtures for Game Week 18 as well, would be Pau Torres or Pedro Porro. Once again, I think they're kind of different players again. I prefer Odegaard. I think he is better, but Wirtz is absolute quality. I'd love him at Arsenal, but you can't have everyone, unfortunately. Game Week 18 captaincy. Yes, for some reason the chat just absolutely bugged out. Yeah, I just fixed that. Apologies to Footy Matters. Roy Nana Kwame says, Game Week 18 captaincy. I'm currently going for Watkins. Now, Son is a really good shout. I think the way I'd rank it is Watkins first, Son second, and Salah third. But it has to be said, Salah really does deliver in the big 6 games. Should I keep Isak or get Wilson? I mean, my personal preference would be to avoid both because they're going to be rotating throughout the season. But I do prefer Wilson right now, yeah. The problem with Bailey is they might play 45 minutes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The minutes won't be great. But if he can play 60 to 80 in Game Week 18, I think is a great shout. Hi, Dylan. How long do you think Sher is out for? I honestly have no clue. I have no clue whatsoever. I can give you the latest updates by Eddie Howe, but I don't think it'll be anything concrete. Yeah, it's just a hamstring strain, but let's wait and see the severity of it. Now, if I had to hazard a guess, I don't think it'll be available for Game Week 18, and as a result, I think Lascelles will play again, but I definitely wouldn't hold myself to that because I could be completely wrong. Yep, I'm benching Saliba next week. Despite him giving 7 points today, Liverpool is a different beast entirely. I know Brighton as well. This was the first time in 32 Premier League games they haven't scored, but Liverpool at Anfield, I mean, will they go back-to-back games at home not scoring? I'd be very shocked. Sell Saka to Richarlison to also fund the sales to someone else. Honestly, I'm seeing a lot of people saying this, and I just can't be on board with it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe, and it's good to be different and be open-minded. And Richarlison is in good form, but Saka for me is playing well. Very unlucky not to return today. He created 3 chances. His expected assist figure was 0.7. And even beyond stats, you just watched the game and he was a constant threat. The problem with Arsenal is they haven't been decisive enough in the final third. Otherwise, it could have been 3-4, 5-0 today. And against Aston Villa, we could have been looking at 3-4-1. But you've got to take your chances. And Arsenal haven't been doing great recently. Is Saka to Bailey a good idea? I don't think so. I think Saka is still a far better option. Must be good to see if Leverkusen and Arsenal face each other. Well, no chance this season. Maybe next season, depending on how both clubs get on in the league. And I'm guessing both of them will qualify for the Champions League, but you never know. Should I bench Dalot and play Taylor or hit for Bodero? Man United have 8-9 amazing fixtures incoming. I'd still hit for Bodero, to be fair. And what you could do is keep Dalot, hit Taylor out for Bodero, and then keep Dalot for that fixture run if you wish. Sell Tsimikas for Trent or Trippier for the long run? Trent. Now, Trippier does have better fixtures in the short term. And also, you've got to factor in other things, such as Trippier's injury. Is he going to be out for Gameweek 18? Let's wait and see. But Trent's form right now, the bonus points, the assists, the clean sheets as well, it all goes in his favour. So it has to be Trent for me. Be sure to put in your last few questions here. We have been streaming for 1 hour 20. Which away game do you think will be toughest for your team? Oh, Liverpool. Liverpool and Man City. Now, I think if you look at it overall, I think City away is the toughest game. Now, in recent weeks, that could be debunked a little bit, and people are saying, well, even Crystal Palace can get a point there. But yeah, for me, City and Liverpool are still the toughest. Then you're looking at Aston Villa and Newcastle, and then Tottenham because of the rivalry, and it has been a unhappy hunting ground for Arsenal in recent years, with the exception of last season. So yeah, those are the top 5 toughest away games, in my opinion, for Arsenal. And if you also factor in Arsenal as an away game, I mean, they're unbeaten so far this season. I think they'd be the 3rd or 2nd toughest, but I just think Liverpool at Anfield is a different beast. Is selling Hwang Hee-chan a good idea? Depends who you're selling him to. That obviously determine whether it's good or bad. I still think Hwang Hee-chan is fairly decent until Gameweek 21. As always, I'm looking to improve upon last season. Top 10k would be ideal, but it will be very difficult to get to, and I need to be almost flawless from now until the end of the season. So I would need luck. I need to make some good decisions and be patient with my transfers. So a lot needs to go my way. But yeah, I'd be happy with top 50k, top 100k. I think top 50k would be fairly good considering my start. Watkins, the captain about Shout versus Sheffield. I'm going for that right now. It seems a bit too simple to be true. A bit like Salah this week, a bit like Haaland in weeks gone by when he's blanked or been a bit underwhelming. This season, it seems like the most popular and seemingly obvious captaincy choice isn't necessarily the best one. Would you consider playing Semenyo over Palmer, Hwang and Saka? No, I personally wouldn't. Best 5-man midfield if budget is no issue long term? Well, excluding AFCON and Asian Cup, because obviously Salah and Son wouldn't form part of it otherwise. I think Salah, Son, Saka, I'd say Palmer, and I'd still say Gordon. That's my favourite 5-man midfield. Then you're looking at Bowen, Kudus, and a few other options there. But that's my favourite 5-man midfield. I'll talk about this in the best wildcard team. Maybe I'll have some different thoughts there with some more thought put into it. NB10 HD says, I have 2 free transfers, or I had 2 free transfers. I did a cash to Bodro, and I plan on doing Bowen Son for a -4, but I slept and missed the deadline. Yeah, good stuff there. Now, Son could go ballistic against Everton, but it is what it is. I still think Bowen is a good option to have, and a lot of people will be selling the likes of Son to Bowen in Gameweek 21. So, yeah, I think in your case, it's good that you missed the deadline there and ended up taking a -4 only. Sufal to Trent or Ariel to Martinez or both for a -4. Oof. Long-term Sufal to Trent is the best move. But I think the way I'd play it there, Sam, is Ariel to Martinez this week, and then in Gameweek 19, buy Trent for Sufal. I think that's the best play for you. I'd be anxious if my team has to play Villa away this season. Yeah, maybe, but I'll be honest, I generally think Arsenal should have won the other day. But you have to give credit to Villa. Their goal was really good. They carved Arsenal open. But I do think they can be exposed. Like, for example, I think they will lose a game at Villa Park this season, and I think Liverpool will be the one to do it, because Liverpool on the day are clinical, they're ruthless, and they can expose the high line that Aston Villa play. So if they play that sort of way against Liverpool, I think they could be destroyed even, lose by 2 or 3. So it just depends. They're still a really good team. I think they will drop down a little bit. You saw signs of it today. The red card changed things. I think Villa will drop off, but they still have a great chance of finishing top 4, that's for sure. So thank you to everyone for tuning in today. It's been a blast as always. We've been streaming for 1 hour 25. We'll try to get to the 1 hour 30 mark, and then we will call it a day. So if you have any more questions or comments, be sure to put them in the live chat before we wrap up. The plan is to do a best free hit team video for Blank Gameweek 18, best wildcard team if that's what people want to see, transfer tips, team selection, and then the deadline stream on the Thursday as well. Dubravka gave me a clean sheet, so how many points does he get? He got 7 points. He got 4 for the clean sheet, 1 for the saves, 7 overall. What's your prediction for Liverpool-Arsenal? I said it earlier in the stream, I'd probably go for 3-1 Liverpool. I think Arsenal can go there and win, and in my opinion, I might be biased, of course, we all have our opinions. I think Arsenal are a better team, but I think at Anfield, that is a massive game changer, and after this result today, I think Liverpool will be very hungry to set things right. And I also think Arsenal in away games this season against the biggest sides, Chelsea, very disappointing performance, ended up recovering something. Newcastle losing out, and of course it was controversial, but still not created enough in that game. Against Aston Villa, good performance, but very poor in front of goal, and that's another loss. So yeah, I think Arsenal will lose that. I hope I'm wrong, but Liverpool are definitely the favourites for me there. Would you be selling Darwin? I will sell him eventually. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of him or anything. But like I said earlier, I do have a feeling about him against Arsenal. Despite all the blanks recently and all the noise, everyone's going to be selling him. I think this could be a time to invest stocks when it's, the reputation is low, you could argue. So with Darwin, I think I'm going to be keeping him for 1 more week. I'll talk about this in the team selection video. I could change my mind. If I were to sell him, it would be to Solanke, or I would sell Archer to Solanke and then potentially bench Darwin, but he has been poor recently. I think my main concern with Darwin is whether he will start or not against Arsenal. Who would you sell out of Gabriel, Saliba or Tsimikas for a Villa defender, and which one? Well, right now it would be Gabriel. I think the double up in the Arsenal defence is good long term, but I'd rather go for Raya in goal and Saliba, and then diversify your defence a little bit. And then you can do Tsimikas to Trent maybe once the AFCON Cup of Nations starts and Robertson comes back, so you can sell Salah, get the funds to upgrade Tsimikas to Trent, and the rest is history. So yeah, right now I will probably do Gabriel to Pau Torres. Sell one out of Akanji or Gabriel or Pinnock or Kowa or Powell. I'd probably sell Akanji. I'd rather keep Gabriel long term. Pinnock has been very disappointing. As for the players you want to bring in, I'd bring in Pau Torres. So Akanji to Pau Torres is what I go for. For 1, Akanji blanks in Gameweek 18. 2, he's not going to start, every single Premier League game, or at least, you could say this about most defenders, to be fair, or players. But with Akanji, that rotation risk at Man City in the defensive line is already enough to put you off. And 3, Man City don't keep enough clean sheets. They just concede sloppy goals all the time. Solanke just got his bonus points. Is that right? If so, then, well, fair play to those of you with Solanke. It was a good transfer. I'll double check that and see. If that's the case, then my rank would have been impacted and it would have gone down. Yes, it has. So I'm going to try change this on stream. My rank has gone down 20,000 places, I think, after that. So from 580,000 to 600,000. Still a good green arrow from 962,000. So pretty healthy stuff. 37.63% change in rank. So let me just update the rank here. And this will be close to the final one that you'll see in the videos coming up. So it looks like Solanke has got the bonus points. Thank you for letting me know. I'm not sure if there's an update then from the Premier League. It surprised me if there wasn't, to be honest, if the bonus points are now being added. So let me double check this before we wrap up. It is almost 8:30 PM UK time. We've been streaming for 1 hour and a half. There we go. I think we did get... yes, we did get an update, which people mentioned earlier. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And that's why the bonus points have been added. So let me put this on screen very quickly. So this is from Fantasy Premier League themselves. Gameweek 17 will remain open after the conclusion of Sunday's matches. More information will follow in due course. So in the next few videos, I'll talk about this and we will clarify anything that maybe confuses you, and it will all be set in stone and you will know what will happen to your Solanke points and all of that. Of course, we wish Lockyer all the best and hopefully he is good and can continue playing football. And of course, FPL points are secondary, but people want to naturally know in an FPL stream what's going to happen with Solanke. And currently, it looks like the bonus points have been added and he is on 9 overall. So, yeah, if we now go to my team again, you will see my updated rank now, 600,000. Thank you very much for pointing me in that direction. I appreciate it. And let's see what metrics we can hit. So we are on over 100 likes. Thank you for that. Let's make sure to get this to over 150. And I know some people watch retrospectively, and you can also help us with that goal. We are now 60 subscribers away from 22,000, and we have, what, 14 days left? 2 weeks to get 60 subscribers. Let's be sure to do that. It'd be massively appreciated, as always. Wow, wasting that is very late. 4:27 a.m. I appreciate you staying up, mate. Thank you very much as always. We might not always be on the same page in terms of football opinions, but that's what it's all about, having different opinions. Otherwise, we're all zombies. Do you think Liverpool dropping points to, or this week? Oh, Liverpool. Yeah, sorry. I read it wrong in my head. Do you think Liverpool dropping points today will help Man City plus Liverpool Arsenal next week? Man City are not out of it. They've been very suspect recently. In terms of results, more so. I think in terms of performances, they have merited more points. They should have beaten Liverpool. They should have also beaten Spurs. And they should have beat Crystal Palace. And sometimes it goes down to fine margins. I also think Arsenal should have more points, personally. And there's still a long way to go. You're not always going to get the points you deserve. And you need to put the ball in the back of the net, kill games off. And recently, neither Arsenal or Man City have done so. Liverpool have. But then you look at today, and Liverpool have also, done what those other two teams have done. Yeah, City, definitely. They will be fancying themselves. They will clear up the ground one way or another on either Liverpool or Arsenal, maybe even both. So they'll be quite happy, I think, and quite confident, I still think. Only 5 points off top. They were 5 points off Arsenal for most of last season, and they still won the league and the treble. So, yeah, definitely. I think they'll be very happy. Do you think Tony will be a massive improvement to the Arsenal team? The thing with Tony is he offers Arsenal something different, and what I see him as is potentially a huge upgrade on Nketiah. And to be fair, credit to Nketiah today. Great involvement for the goal, good pass to Havertz, got the assist, and also scored the other day in the Champions League. But the thing with Nketiah is he doesn't do it on a consistent basis. I wish he did, so then, he could be kept, Helen boy, doing really well for Arsenal. But being realistic, I think Tony is a massive upgrade on him. As a striker compared to Jesus, I think he is a better goal scorer than the Brazilian. But as an overall player, I'd still give it to Gabriel Jesus. And I think it's about having both options and Arsenal being able to bring on Tony or Jesus off the bench. And then you see a complete change, I think, in terms of the style of play potentially, or just offering something different to catch the opposition off guard. Why not Dean? Says Wei Seng. Well, Alex Moreno played today. Luca Dean was suspended, but if you look at last season, Moreno did become the first choice left back, and with Moreno scoring today, it might be tricky to see Dean immediately coming back. So it could be another cash situation where he is dropped and has to earn his place back. Kuka says, bring Solanke, Saka, Borro or Gordon. Difficult one there. Long term, my favourite is Saka still. I know some people are less keen on him now, but yeah, of those four options, I think Saka scores the most points, so he is the one. But it also depends who you sell. I wouldn't sell Son to Saka, especially this week. What amount of points gets a green arrow? It's all about your rank, and that influences things. For example, my safety score was 64, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was a bit less than that. But you have to basically surpass your safety score. If you go to livefpl.net, put your team ID, you'll be able to see what score you needed to get a green arrow, and it will be the safety score. I was going to do Haaland to Solanke, but got Watkins instead. Well, they both got the same points. I still think Watkins is better long term. So, yeah, obviously, those that didn't go for Solanke would have been hoping that the points got reset or that he didn't get the bonus points. But, it would have been very unfortunate and unlucky for those that bought Solanke to not get anything. So, Yeah, to be honest, if I bought Solanke, I would have been pissed off. Obviously, it doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but you would have been kind of pissed off or a bit perplexed at why the points weren't given. Thank you, Wei Sing. Love to discuss football here. I'd love to learn more while I don't know much about other teams. Oh, to be honest, I don't know much either. I just give my opinions, and there you go. Sometimes it seems okay. Sometimes it's complete BS. Maybe CJR. Who knows at this point? Who knows? I think they added the bonus points yesterday and then removed them. So honestly, who knows at this point? I'll double check again. If they did remove it, then I have to. Yeah, I think they did remove them. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the Solanke bonus points have been removed. So let me go back to. Oh my god, I'm going to have to update my rank again. So you know what? I'm just going to leave my rank as it is. And until we know definitively, who knows? So it does look like the Solanke bonus points got removed again. What is this? Honestly, I'm literally talking about Watkins and Solanke scoring the same, and now it doesn't seem to be the case. So yeah, I'm going to be editing this on Photoshop. Yep. Just give me a second. You will see the current rank, and I'm going to leave it at that for now until the next video, at the very least. So yeah, that is my rank at the moment, 580,000. I've gone up 20,000 places. Yes. But yeah, if Solanke has his points reset, like I just mentioned now, it'd be very harsh, and I also wouldn't agree. But it all depends on what the final decision is from the Premier League. Are they going to start from the beginning? Yes, CJR, I think they did remove the bonus points. I don't know if the site is lagging. The bonus points got taken off now. Yeah, honestly, just avoid it for now. Wait and see what's going to happen. I'm going to see if they actually added bonus points. Sorry. Oh, yes, the bonus points have been added now for Liverpool, Aston Villa, and all these games that happened today. So Watkins got 3 bonus points, as you can see. So it is 75 points for me overall with a -4 hit. So 71, and I'm just shy of 1,000 there. Yeah, so the points did get taken away. Hwang Yi-chan to Palmer, says Dry Hill. Yeah, even though I like Hwang Yi-chan for the next couple of weeks, you're going to sell him anyway. And I think Palmer is a good move. So yeah, I'm absolutely on board with that. Not really Ronald. He is in good form. He's scoring goals, but yeah, with the blank now in Game Week 18, and there's so many other options in the midfield that I'd rather go to, so not for me. Nketiah does have more goals than Jesus. The thing is with Jesus, though, and look, you could argue that Nketiah is a better goal scorer, at least this season, but the thing that Jesus does is the link-up play. You saw what he did to Dunk, who played very well today as well, by the way, but Jesus just has that magic, that flair, and his passing, his dribbling especially is very impressive, and Jesus is very poor in front of goal sometimes, but yeah, for me, Jesus is still another level compared to Nketiah. And if I'm looking to improve, you know, on Arsenal and what they have right now, it'd be another defender to add squad depth, another midfielder, and also another striker or attacker, especially striker for me. And I think Nketiah could be improved upon. I think Tony is Jesus and Nketiah in one. Potentially, that could be a good way of looking at it. Also, a really good penalty taker. So we could see an end to that kind of Saka, Odegaard kind of fiasco in the penalty spot. But yeah, I mean, look, it's all hypothetical. It looks like Tony to Arsenal is very likely to happen, but let's wait and see. Football isn't that simple. Bellingham again, says Wei Seng. Kuka says, thanks, mate. I'm selling either Wissa to Solanke or Rodri to Saka, Gordon or Dean to Borro. I'm wildcarding in Game Week 20. Out of those moves, my favourite, well, it would be Rodri to Saka long term, but since you're wildcarding in Game Week 20 anyway, oh, you know what? I still think over a 3 game week period, my favourite move of those lot would be Rodri to Saka or Wissa to Solanke. Yeah, I mean, that's a very tough call. And it all depends on Luka Dean. Will he lose a spot to Moreno? Will there be rotation there? There are a few question marks all of a sudden. But my favourite move there has to be said, Rodri to Saka. Taylor to Colwell -4. Not ideal. I think Wolves could score in that game, but yeah, long term it should pay off. I feel like everyone says Saka's a great option, but I don't think so. Fair enough. I just think he's very consistent, and apart from Salah and potentially Son, I don't see many midfielders outscoring him this season. Will Gusto start next game? I mean, I thought he'd start this week, and Chelsea played 4 centre-backs. Maybe they're going to play the same thing again, 4 centre-backs again. So I'd personally say no right now. There will be a time where he comes in and starts, especially with this fixture period coming up, but yeah, I'd say no. Should I still do Haaland to Solanke in Game Week 18? I would, especially if you don't have good squad depth for, at least for this week. So you've got a Saliba or an Anderson coming off your bench, which isn't ideal in Game Week 18. Blank to Willian, not for me. As I said in the last few videos, even when Fulham won back-to-back 5-0 games, I don't trust Fulham offensively still in the long term, and I'd rather go to other midfielders instead. What do you think of a Dingra to Gordon? Good move long term. I think Newcastle will struggle against Luton. You'd still back them to win, but it could be very tough. But with Gordon in home matches, that's where he really excels. Away from home, I'm not really a big fan. But at St James's Park, no blanks so far this season. Yeah, no, that's a good shout, Wasting. I completely agree. Even last season, people were saying this for Arsenal. Saka needs competition, that's for sure. By the way, have you checked out Pookie? I haven't. I'll try to do that after the stream. Arsenal fans laughing Man City, but they don't know when KDB's back. I mean, it's all about, that's football. That's what football's about, you know? You enjoy the moment. Some Arsenal fans do get carried away. I'm not, to be honest. I still think Liverpool and Man City have a great chance, especially Man City. I think Man City will finish top 2 easily. But yeah, there is something a bit different this season, you could argue. Hopefully Man City don't win the league. It is a bit boring. Otherwise, it's a bit like the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. Kuka says, thanks a lot for the help as always, mate. By the way, 72 points this week. Thank you very much. That's great to hear. And hopefully you do even better next week. I'm not part Spanish. I'm part Argentine. My family are from there, and I was born in the UK, so double nationality. Yes, Hope, and also Kudus, who a lot of people are looking to bring in now. Same thing with him, Hwang Hee-chan, Asian Cup, Son as well, Salah, AFCON. So yeah, there's a lot to think. Great, a lot to think about now. Thank you very much to Arif as well. Much appreciated. Arthur says, I think Saka just does not haul as often as Son and Salah. Yeah, okay, so in terms of mega hauls, you're right. He's not on the same level as the other two. But in terms of consistent returns, I think only Salah's better than him, in the midfield. Son actually blanks more often than Saka, but Son in the games that he hauls in, he goes absolutely ballistic with 11 plus points. Tiki Tyler asked this question. I'll be reading it, but having a water break as well. So, do I play Odegaard, Gabriel Jesus, and Salah? Yeah, I can see your dilemma. I mean, Salah you definitely play. You never bench him. And my other option is to bring in Palmer for Sarr and play Odegaard, Salah, Palmer, and bench Gabriel Jesus, my other two forwards. To be honest, I'd rather bench Odegaard than Jesus, because Jesus has a decent record, if I'm not mistaken, against Liverpool. Odegaard has never scored against them, if I'm not mistaken. So now look, records are one thing, and Odegaard could pop up. He's been very good recently, in my opinion. So yeah, I'd rather actually bench Odegaard, but your plan to bring in Palmer for Sarr, I mean, that's a no-brainer for me, and I would do it. And I would rather bench Odegaard personally. Bench one from Saka, Kudus, or Palmer. To be honest, I mean, look, Saka's not one of those players you want to bench in any week, but out of those 3 players this week, considering the fixture, I'd probably bench Saka just because he's got the lowest ceiling. Today, Man U was lucky to not get embarrassed. Yeah, well, look, they defended well, but Liverpool still created chances. They were a bit inefficient in front of goal, but you've got to give them credit for sticking in there and getting a result no one expected. How do I decide if I need to wildcard in 19 or 20? Well, I'd recommend using tools like FPL.team and all these sites that offer future transfer planning in FPL. So use those sites and visualize your team in future weeks and also plan your transfers. What would wildcarding in 19 or 20 do in terms of impacting your transfers now in Game Week 18 and also in 19 if you were to wildcard in 20? So think about all these things as well. But in the grand scheme of things, it won't make a big difference, to be quite honest with you. What about Luton Bournemouth? I have Solanke without bonus points. We covered this a few times in this video, so we don't know what's going to happen yet. It all depends on the final decision from the Premier League and whether the game will be reset from the beginning or whether they continue from where it left off. If that's the case and they continue from where it left off, then you would assume that the points will still stand, but maybe no bonus points. If the game is reset from the beginning, though, then it will be 0 points for every Bournemouth and Luton Town player at the moment, and then they will count the points for when the game is rescheduled. Welcome, Hope. By the way, you're doing well on FPL on YouTube. Great job, Dylan. Thank you very much, Hope. I appreciate that. We are very close to 22,000 subscribers, and of course, we're looking to keep on growing every single year. We're 58 subscribers away now, and it's all thanks to all the subscribers patrons, channel members, and those that send in super chats. I support Arsenal in the Premier League. I support Argentina national team and Rosario Central, who won the Argentinian League yesterday, the cup for the Argentinian League. Tiggy Taylor says, thank you, Dylan. Love your channel and advice. Thank you very much, mate. And it'll be great to see you in future streams as well. What's your highest ever finish in FPL? I'll be honest, in terms of the exact rank, I won't know off by heart, but I'm pretty sure my highest is just outside the top 10k. It might have been 13k. So I'll give you my list now in terms of my ranks. I've got like I typed in everything for UCL Fantasy and FPL because I just can't be bothered to remember it. So yeah, in FPL, I've played 4 seasons, 68k, 55k, 15k, and 77k. So my highest is 15,428. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I also don't claim to have the best record, but it's fairly decent and consistent. No, we're not lucky. Liverpool did not create any clear-cut chances. Yeah, look, there's always this thing when a team creates a lot of chances. For example, Arsenal versus Villa, you know, and Arsenal didn't take their chances, for example, and then you say, well, you don't take your chances, you don't deserve to win. You know, you can understand both sides of it, and football is a game about opinions, but I think United were worthy of the draw. I think that. Liverpool, in terms of attacking threat, were always going to be the kind of more prominent team, but United did a pretty decent game plan. It worked, but I think Liverpool, on a better day, would have probably dispatched United. Maybe not easily, but they would have scored 2 or 3. I'm on 1,019 points at the moment. That's really good stuff. I'm not sure exactly what rank that would be, but I'm assuming it'd be close to 100k. That's really good stuff. We were lucky Onana did not give Salah an assist. Yeah, but at least, look, with Onana, poor distribution, but there was not many options for him because he tried to play out, and then you've got the wingers kind of with their backs turned, and no one really wanted to get the ball like that. So it was an awkward game for him. He made some good saves, and overall, I think the defence was very impressive for United. Do you think cash is a hold? It's tricky. Now, if we start to see in the nose or people with good, predicted lineups have cash in their starting 11, then yes, I think you hold him for that game. But I personally don't think he will start. Douglas Luiz will be back. Kamara will be suspended, of course, now with the late red card. And I think Konsa will go back to right back. And then you've got Bailey as well to add to the mix as well, who will be competing with Diaby up front with Watkins. But yeah, I think with cash, I personally think he'll be benched. I do not enjoy Scott McTominay's captain as an yeah. The thing with McTominay is, look, his goals have been very important for Man United this season, but that's all he offers. You know, he offers that and maybe a bit of pressing, but his overall game is very poor. He should never be Man United captain. But of course, look, maybe in terms of mentality and maybe a few other factors that I don't know personally or I'm not privy to, yes, he might have that in abundance. But in terms of football ability, I mean, it's just lacking, severely lacking to say the least. No worries, courage. I mean, look, my current plan with Darwin is to hold. But if I start to see, a bit similar to the cash situation, if I start to see a lot of predicted lineups saying that he'll be benched, then I would reconsider and go for Solanke for a -4 here. And I'd buy Pau Torres and Solanke for a -4. I'll talk about this in the team selection. Start Archer or Taylor this week. I could be completely wrong about this, to be fair. But I think I would go for Taylor. I don't expect anything from either team. And either player, but I'd probably go for Taylor. Welcome to Sopchich. Hello, I'm sure you've already answered this, but what happens with Burnley-Luton game? Bournemouth, sorry. And for example, Solanke's points. So I tried to cover this a few times. And look, the simple answer is we don't know for sure yet. Let's wait and see what the definitive update is. But it all depends on the final decision from the Premier League. If the game continues from where it's left off, my guess is that they would keep the points, but there'll be no bonus. And then any points that they get for the remaining part of that game will be added on top of it. And then the bonus points will also be factored in. If the game is reset from the beginning and they play from minute 1 to minute 90, then the points would be reset right now. And then you would have a complete reset. Solanke would have no goal and everything would have to be replayed there. So that's what it all comes down to. Son and Salah replacements when they are not available. Saka, Bowen, Palmer, Gordon, those would be right up there on the agenda. And of course, there's going to be other options popping out every now and again. Kulusevski, Odegaard could also be worth considering. Phil Foden, those would be the main ones. But for me, if I had to kind of, narrow it down, it's going to be Saka, Bowen, and Cole Palmer. And Gordon as well, I have to always put in there. I still think Gordon is a very good option. But yeah, those would be my top 4, and probably in that order as well. So, yeah, now literally time flies when you're having fun, right? This stream has been a lot of fun, as always. Great questions in there. Hopefully we get some more clarity on the Bournemouth versus Luton Town situation soon, and I'll be covering that in my future videos. Best free hit team video, best wildcard team, transfer tips, team selection, and the deadline stream. That is the plan for Game Week 18. Let me know if you want to see all that content heading into the Game Week 18 deadline on the Thursday. And thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this stream to over 150 likes, and let's try to get to 22,000 subscribers by the end of the year. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, on both social media platforms, and you can also check the links in the description below for the Patreon, Championships Discord server, and the FPL League. We've got 1,000 members there. On the Discord server, we're trying to get to 1,000 members too. And then on the other stuff like Patreon and channel memberships, we keep on growing and growing, and it's all thanks to you lot, and you're making all of this possible. So thank you very much for your support. Thank you, Prias, and everyone else watching, Sheroz, and also Ronald. Bowen is on fire. Yeah, he has been quite consistent. You're right about that. Not many assists. He can be frustrating at times, but you're absolutely right. He is scoring at a quite regular rate at this moment in time. But let's talk more about this in the future streams and videos. There's so much to talk about. Let's see what happens in the Bournemouth-Luton game. That will also play a big part. Solanke is in my thoughts. The same goes for Pau Torres and many other options. We've also got to navigate the African Cup of Nations and the Asian Cup, as we've discussed many times in the last couple of weeks. Take care. Enjoy the football. I wish you all the best of luck for Blank Gameweek 18 and the rest of the season. And I'll see you next time.